He tells me stories,
Beautiful blue eyes.
but not always the truth. I know my father is German. I ask him, are we Jewish? All of these people can't have just disappeared. He tells me, you are the last Goldfish. I was 14 when I started this search for my family.
I remember him like this, surrounded by women.
I remember him.
My father made a decision to live again and never look back, but he left me clues, and they led me here.
That's just an excerpt, or a trailer rather, of The Last Goldfish. And, you know, that is a film, because we live for local here on TTT, always, every day. And that will be featured tonight at 8 p.m. right here on TTT. And I'm going to be chatting this morning with the producer and manager of UNSW Creative Practice Lab in the School of Arts and Media. She's all the way out there in Australia, Sydney to be exact. And I'll be chatting this morning with Sue Goldfish. Good morning.
Good morning from Sydney.
Right, and you told me...
What am I saying? It's good evening. I've just had dinner.
Good evening to you where you are. It's morning for us, so you know the huge time difference there.
It is.
So we just saw a trailer and an excerpt from your film, and it touches on, you know, a huge topic, something that, you know, that could be heavy on the minds of people, you know, when they look back on history. You know, tell us about your experience putting that story together, because it's one that's very personal to you.
Yeah, I grew up in Trinidad. I was born in Trinidad, and it wasn't until I came to Australia and started getting a little bit older, became a teenager, that I started to ask the question, how did my family end up in Trinidad? Because when I was in Trinidad, I was a Trinidadian. I didn't think about it. I was just a child enjoying my childhood. When we came to Australia, I was 14, so I was just starting to come into kind of consciousness that, you know, not everything in the world is about you. There's actually, you know, stories and history and understanding, you know, where you come from. And I think Trinidad is so full of stories about where people come from because of its history. So this little story of mine, which is about the Jewish refugees who ended up in Trinidad in just before the war, is a part of, you know, the complex history and identity that is Trinidad.
Definitely. And, you know, you would have had to do a lot of digging to get the information, you know, to really put it there in the film. How was that? How was the, you know, finding information on your family? What was that experience like to you?
Well, it's like being a split personality. It's, on one hand, I'm living the experience of trying to trace all the little stories that, you know, ultimately come together as a film. But as a director and as a filmmaker, what I'm doing is actually crafting a story that people will engage with, that they'll go on the journey with me of what it was like to actually make all those discoveries along the way. It's and that's where the craft of filmmaking and the beautiful team of people that I worked with, so that the sound and the, you know, the composer who created beautiful music to go with this film, the editors, has crafting of a story from what is actually my life experience over many, many years.
Right. And as you mentioned, it has been your life experience over many, many years, but how long has it taken you to get the film together?
Well, I think my whole life, in a way. I mean, the film, as a filmmaker, the film took 5 years to actually do the final pulling together of the last strands of, you know, undoing all these secrets. And one of the things too is, you know, I didn't start this film until both my parents had died. I think that I really needed to have that kind of distance from them so that I could put this together. But
Right.
I really hope people enjoy it tonight. I am so excited. I can't tell you that this is being broadcast on television. I really always wanted to make this film for Trinidad, in a way, because Trinidad saved my father's life, as far as I'm concerned. Like, there was a lot of people trying to escape war in Europe, and many places turn people away. And my father's experience of Trinidad was one of acceptance and support. And that included even, being imprisoned as an alien, which also happened to him. So him and his family, were actually in a prisoner of war camp in Trinidad for a couple of years.
Right.
So I really hope people really are interested in this. I know you're going through the same crisis we are at the moment with this terrible virus, and I'm stuck at home with the rest of Australia waiting to see what's going to happen. So I hope this brings some enjoyment and interest.
Yeah, definitely. And, learning about a different part of our history. Well, I personally haven't heard about that part of our history in Trinidad here as well. So, it's educational also and very revealing to learn even a little more of our history here in Trinidad and how connected we are in the world.
Yeah, and I think everyone has these stories in their family that are ultimately about resilience. And I think, again, Trinidad is a place of many, many struggles for people. There's slavery and there's indentured laborers, the stories of, colonization. There's, the indigenous people of Trinidad. There are so many stories in Trinidad, and they're all about who we are as human beings and what we do with those stories and what we do with those histories to make a place that, allows people to live and be free. So they're very important, I think, because the connections we make as people is what holds us together as a community.
And you have wrapped it up in a ribbon there so beautifully. And I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Sue Goldfish. And we look forward to the film tonight, which will be tonight for us in our time, 8 p.m. in Trinidad. I don't know what the time is. The time would be there in Australia. But of course, I want to thank you for sharing with us this morning.
Too much complicated maths.
Right?
But thank you for having me on. I really hope people enjoy the film.
I know I, for one, will. All right, Sue, thanks so much. And you and your family take care there in Australia. I was chatting with Sue Goldfish, producer and manager of UNSW Creative, practice live in the School of Arts and Media there in Australia, learning about her film, The Last Goldfish, which has many ties to Trinidad and Tobago. So watch it tonight at 8 p.m. right here on TTT. And we're going to take a short break and come back with more. Stay with us.